Welcome mates, I am BloodThirstyLord by Increasing Microtransactions, and today we're back on Halo Infinite with another news video that you don't want to miss out of, as a 343 employee does respond to the backlash of toxicity and toxic comments towards Halo Infinite and the state that it's currently in. This video will be interesting to break down, no doubts there, but before we do get into this video, there's only a small percentage of mates that watch the video that are actually subscribed. Leave a like, show your support, click the subscribe button to keep up to date, press that join button to become a member on the channel. So without further ado, let's get straight into this. Mates, we've been covering all the news on the channel for the last couple of days about Halo Infinite and the state it is in, and seeing what changes that happen, what updates, what possibilities of a good future for this game can actually occur, and talking about it on the channel as much as possible. And you mates know that this is something that obviously 343 knows about. They've been listening, been hearing it, and seeing it everywhere in all social media outlets, especially on Reddit. And they had to reply to one of the Reddit forums because it's just getting out of hand for them as they respond to the toxicity and the backlash that's occurring from the community. And obviously 343 wants to talk about this, and we have the community manager Sketch highlight a response on Reddit as a 343 employee, and he had to say this: I can't reply to every person yell at me and at 343 here, so just want to share a few final things to take or leave as you see fit. When we have some updates to share, I'll be back. First, I'm going to stress again that I 100% understand and generally agree with the frustrations most are expressing, even if I don't agree with the attacks and the ways in which some chose to express those feelings. Call me a shill, a liar, a corpse speak, etc. as you want, but I'll never lie to this community and never will. And I'm not saying myself and 343 are a victim in any way. That's yet another narrative some folks here have chosen to apply. It's my job to come in here, listen, frankly take it on the chin, and despite personally being very put off by the way in which many are expressing themselves, still ensure that we are advocating for players internally. We do that regardless of being positive or negative, and always will. Before we continue, I feel like that's a good approach, just to directly address what's occurring and with direct communication. None of this like one developer says something here, another developer says something here. It's like a little hint of an Easter egg to try and find all the pieces and put them together. We're getting a direct approach from the community manager on Reddit, highlighting how everything is feeling at 343 and for himself when it comes to the current state of the game, which is a very honest and brutal approach to take as a community manager. No doubt there, but it's a good way because transparency in games, or from developers to gamers, is something that is a vital aspect of a successful game, which we all want for Halo Infinite because everyone is passionate, from the developers and the gamers, when it comes to this franchise of Halo. So let's continue. As for Slayer itself, we're still having discussions around feasibility. Yes, there's absolutely a hot topic and something the team is aware of. We would love to have those modes and experiences that met players' expectations versus the backlash situation we're in today. I don't believe anyone at 343 thought not having Slayer was a good idea. I don't personally agree we owe folks a detailed dissertation on what 343 has been doing the last 6 years, or whoever thought this was a good idea, etc. We have had people working their asses off for years to try and deliver the best Halo game they can miss very challenging circumstances, but I will try to at least provide some context for those who are interested. The launch playlists were set up as they were to take a measured approach. We have UI limitations with the game right now in the way and the number of playlists that are exposed. We have complex and non-ideal progression and challenge systems intertwined into playlists and modes that are not necessarily trivial to decouple and change. Yes, the entire challenge progression system needs a lot of work, something the team is acutely aware of and prioritizing. So this already is a lot of information, and there's a lot more, so I'm just gonna keep going through this and talking about it. The team's plan for Slayer playlists, I think, are more robust than what might suffice for an interim solution. I love the ideas and some of the variants that they're working on. Those all require tuning and most importantly testing. QA is a huge dependency and it's a crucial part of development pipeline that has been running non-stop for months to launch this game. We are re-evaluating what it will take to potentially just start with a vanilla Slayer playlist as a short-term addition until the more robust offering is ready. I think the main hurdle that needs to be addressed and may require more time than it's feasible before the holiday break is the knock-on effect of challenges and needing to also reset quick play and what that becomes. Historically, a Slayer only playlist and an objective only playlist has always resulted in the objective playlist quickly becoming unhealthy, but maybe we inevitably have no choice but to go down the route until more robust systems are available. Note, I'm not on the MP or the multiplayer or a systems designer. And this is a direct comment towards the Slayer only plays being in the game and that we don't have that yet. Yes, it was part of technical alpha and then it got taken out and then we didn't get it. In other Halo games, it's already there on day one launch and we don't have it with this game. And that's why he's trying to address here alongside the backlash that's happened from the community because of these new game modes, or pretty much these pre-existing game modes that should be in the game not being there. and he's trying to address it here. It's just not quite as trivial as pushing a button, and the scale and complexity of this game. Any and every change could have a monumental impact in a negative way without extensive testing. Triaging these feedback issues and finding what can we do now is what the team is already doing, and we continue doing. Everything has to be tested, everything has a downstream dependencies and knock-on effects, and we are 4 days from a global launch with holidays right after. As far as the notion of this all being a ploy to force challenge swaps isn't just it, I don't expect everyone to believe that, but while we may not agree with the playlist selections and approach, I'm just going to say again, making players have no control and have to use swaps has never once been a thing I've heard, ever. And again, we know this entire challenge system is not ideal, and while I'm glad that we've been able to make some interim tweaks to progression pace and remove some of the more frustration RNG challenges, there's absolutely more work to be done, and this is not the ideal vision the live team has in mind. Though more challenge tweaks are coming with the playlist update, details to come soon. I did not really enjoy having to grind through 20 plus games of quick play to hopefully get an oddball so I could hopefully win 3 games to complete a challenge. Or Shudder having to get 10 Ravager kills. Is this week's ultimate reward or just an emblem really worth the grind? There's a lot of work to do. We're all in agreement there. A few more changes are coming to this month, and I hope we can start to lay out more robust plans after the break. Wow, this is getting really saucy. So it seems like we're not going to have too much being done when it comes to the game until after this break. So after the Christmas break, then or the New Year's break, then they'll go back to making all these changes more applicable. Yes, there's going to be changes sometime soon. Those changes may not be as significant as the future changes, but they know that. They are listening. They're trying to make things work, make it better, even though they know themselves that the rewards that we're getting, the challenges that are in place are just all ridiculous. And they know that for sure. And obviously there's a plea to understand their situation and their own frustration when it comes to the launch of Halo Infinite as the campaign drops on December 8th, alongside the holiday breaks coming up after how many years of working in the game, and then well-deserved breaks, which makes sense. Every company should be able to get breaks when it comes to those aspects there. So let's keep continuing. Not everyone likes that Infinite is a free-to-play game, and thus has a new business model based on monetization of customization. I understand where you're coming from, especially with a 20-year established franchise with a long-standing legacy. Free-to-play has been a huge boost to growing the player base, and we've seen a huge amount of new players entering the franchise for the first time ever. But this is a business. The service you play on costs money to operate, the studio that develops and maintains the game costs money, the battle pass and premium customization is for the model of this game today. Is there room to continue assessing the overall economy and value for players? Absolutely, and that's also an area that the team is constantly monitoring and learning. The creation of cosmetics and the battle pass have absolutely nothing to do with something like a playlist. The content was created ages ago, it's static and wasn't done instead of playlist. Was it a priority to make sure that this game could in fact generate revenue? Of course. Every free-to-play game has that model. You get more players into purchasing cosmetics or some type of battle pass progression in order to use those cosmetics in the free-to-play game. And that's how they make their revenue back. That is completely understandable, so I understand the justification behind that. And they know about the actual economy base when it comes to these items are all over the place, so that needs to be reassessed, and they can get better, so then players will actually purchase these items, enjoy these items, especially if they're newer items, because right now we're getting older items from other Halo games in the past which were free to play or grind to access, and now we get those same items placed into Halo Infinite at a cost that is just absurd. And if they can't see that, they are failing to actually monitor what's occurring and adapting to it, because I feel like what they need to do now is adapt in that current model and drop the prices down dramatically and understand what is actually necessities for actually people to purchase or play the game and earn it as they're playing the game. There's many things that can happen, and it's easy to assess. It may take some time, but hopefully they're able to continue monitoring this and see what they can do in future updates. Let's continue. I'm starting to ramble here, but the main TLDR is, for what it's worth, we're going to do what we can as soon as we can. If things today do not meet your expectations, then I'm sorry that you've been disappointed. I'm confident this game will continue to get better and better, and all these issues are fixable. I also realize that some players are just going to not play anymore. Maybe they come back, maybe they don't. I also know and want to be very upfront and honest that the pace at which bigger changes are brought to bear will absolutely not be as fast as many want. We have some problems for sure, but I'm really proud of the foundation the team was able to deliver. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. It's your prerogative to play or not play. I'd rather have people who are so passionate that they're yelling at us than nobody caring at all. But I just ask that people please take a breath here, understand there are human beings behind this who put years of their lives into just trying to make the best experiences they can, and do not rush to judge or assume you've got it all figured out. And with that, I fully expect to be blasted from here out, but hopefully for some, this post provides a bit more context. Have a great weekend, everyone. That is the end of this. The end of the rambling. Oh my god, there's a lot. But there was so much information. The context is very crucial, and it does provide some knowledge about them knowing what's occurring with the game currently, but we already knew that, so it just feels like there's a lot of information here just highlighting what's occurring as they go into a holiday break. But they are people. They are people that are making this game for many years, and now the game's come out. Obviously, they meet expectations, and many people know that at 343 Industries, including Brian, the one that replied to this, the 343 employee. So it's really, really interesting to see that occur. And obviously, they can't make change because of the release date. Being released in December, and obviously leading up to Christmas, there's going to be breaks, and you really couldn't do anything to fix that. So if they released the game maybe prior months, they obviously would have been able to do it, but obviously the game wasn't in a current state to actually be released then, or even 1 year ago, so obviously they've taken a lot of time to fix these things, but many things weren't up to par when it comes to other Halo games in the past, and they know that for sure. And from a consumer side, being the players, the gamers that are enjoying Halo and Halo the franchise over how many years, and seeing Halo Infinite in the state it's in, the way it came out, the free-to-play model makes sense because it gets new and existing players into the game with no extra cost, and obviously the gameplay itself is very high up there. It's a very great game. Yes, it's limiting on some of the maps and what you can possibly do, but overall the gameplay that you have in Halo Infinite is very good. The foundation is there. But then seeing all these other things be limited, being the playlist, the customization, how that works, and the actual items that you get as customization through the microtransactions, and the prices they're at, is ridiculous. And if they can't see that, there's a failure there by 343 to understand when it comes down to the consumers and their audience when it comes to purchasing these items. Because you compare this to any other game with their microtransactions, yes, they may be priced high, but the microtransactions there may be more justified than what we have here, being a couple of armor pieces, armor coatings, and such that are really high priced. So there has been a misunderstanding on how they see the community and how they were going to employ these factors of, look, we have microtransactions, these are the bundles we have. They all need to get reworked. They know they need to get reworked. Alongside the challenges, alongside their playlists, there's a lot of reworks that need to be happening that surrounds the gameplay overall, but the gameplay itself is there. It's really, really fun. And that is something that I want to make sure everyone knows about because the gameplay is super fun and I don't think there's any downsides to it. So this was very interesting to break down and highlight on the channel as 343 responds to the backlash and the toxicity behind Halo Infinite and what the current state of the game is. And those were my thoughts about the game. But I want to know about your thoughts in the comment section down below because I'd love to know. Invite your mates for a discussion in the comment section down below. Also, mates, use code LORDY for 10% off your next game sub order at the checkout, link in the description below. And mates, as always, it is a pleasure to have you guys on the channel as we're through this, and I'll catch you mates next time. Bye. Road to 200k subscribers. Let's get it, mates.